Hey everybody, welcome to episode 77. Today I'm going to review the Ace Frehley solo album, so buckle up for some Kiss. Um, first thing I wanted to mention, first thing right off the bat, I'm feeling a lot better today. Still got the cough a little bit, noses hasn't been running, I got that dry flaky feeling after you're starting to heal, your nose starts to heal. And I still got a little bit of the cough. I slept pretty good last night. So hopefully this will be a better video. I don't even have my towel with me to wipe myself, so I don't even think it's I think I'll be fine, because I said I've been pretty much fine all morning. I've been working here at the computer, and let's see. So I want to get into something that I've never seen before with Amazon. Amazon, I must be ordering too much from Amazon, so I gotta tone it down anyways. But regardless, I've seen something I've never seen before. Well, as far as the records go, and I'll show you. I got the the little picture they give you when they deliver it to your doorstep. I got the picture saved here. I'm going to show you exactly how it came to my door. And I did open the album. It wouldn't have been much of an unboxing, because I'll get to that. But so today we're going to go over to the Ace Frehley solo album. I had listened to it on YouTube the other night, and it really sounded like shit. I mean, as far as the sound quality, it's like, wow, the YouTube recording is really bad. It could barely hear the bass. It was so tinny sounding, and it had like no volume to it. So I thought, okay, well, I can't wait to hear the record. The record will sound 100 times better. I listened to the record after I bought the record. Just, obviously want to make sure it was fine after the diabolical from its delivery. But I listened to the record. Not a problem with it. No scratches, no warping, nothing. It's a big 180 gram disc. But you could hear the bass, you could hear everything fine as far as the mix of the songs, but the volume was so low. So apparently that album wasn't mixed very high as far as the levels. I normally keep my Yamaha at 50. 50 is pretty much, when I got my headphones on, I leave it at 50. If I'm using the bookshelf speakers, I'm good at 50 as well. That's a good comfortable level. If I need a little bit of a boost, I'll go to 55. And that's pretty much about as loud as I listen to it, whether it's in the headphones or here in the room in the apartment. But I had to crank it to 65 just to get it to the same level. So it's definitely, was mixed low. Like I said, a lot better. It didn't sound tinny. The basses sound bassy. The mids sound mad. There was no problem I had with the sound of the album. It was just the level. And I thought that was weird. But like I said, it didn't have anything to do with the delivery issue either. So let me get into the delivery issue here. So there's the album. It's awesome cover. I mean, all the solo albums are awesome covers, but, for Ace Frehley album was my favorite. That's why I got this one. I'll probably get the other ones eventually, but, I'll have to wait. But for now, I got the one I wanted. I ended up, I listened to it, I put it in a sleeve. It did come with this, I'll pull it out. I don't pull it out. It came with this poster thing inside that it's very, like, old school, like, I don't know, the poster's kind of hokey. I have to say, I had the 8-track, so I didn't have the LP, so I didn't have a poster. It came with mine, but the little poster in it's just not really that cool. It's hand-drawn. It looks like bad comic book art, like not even good comic book art. And it's so, like, the colors on it almost looks like a black light poster. The colors are so dumb. And it has, like, these missing sections on the side, like these cutouts. And it's like, I don't know what this is all about either. It's weird. Oh, maybe I'll pull it out just to show you. And, the reason I say it is, and also it's almost like this cardboard with the printing on it. Oh, it's like made out of rubber. It's like rubbery. And I'll show you. This will get into the. I don't know if you can see that. It's very minuscule. There's a poster. It's very minuscule. There's a couple of little creases. there is this little like kind of bump here, and then on the bottom there's that little bump there. And the reason why is this disc came. I normally throw this stuff out, but I saved it just to show you. You know the cellophane that it comes in, right? Yeah, it was, as you can see, it was shipped no box, just the cellophane, right? Nothing. And not to boot, it was opened. You know, like with some people don't want to take the cellophane off, but they slit the side to get the disc out. You see a lot of used albums sometimes come that way, right? That's how it came. It came slit open, so it was literally open. You know, that's why it got kind of like curled up on the side there. It was literally open, and there's that poster. Like I said, here's that weird cutout thing that's on the side of it. I'll show you. It's not terrible art, now that I look at it again. It's not horrendous, but it definitely looks kind of weird. But what the heck's going on with this? This little cutout here and this cutout down here. Is this like supposed to be some part in a supercomputer or something? I don't know. What the heck is this? I don't understand the cutout there. If anybody knows what that is, let me know. I have no idea what that's for. But yeah, the record itself, I mean, it's got kind of that matte finish. But, and luckily, it's all pretty, obviously with albums this black, you easily get ring wear. So it didn't make ring wear, it just made kind of a crease for the disc, because somebody must have bent it, as you can see, crease there. Somebody bent this back a bit. Like I said, it's a little rough on the edge, not terrible. I mean, here's the thing, I bought it brand new. I didn't buy it used. This is a brand new copy, and it came that goofed up. And the thing that boggles me most is the fact that it was open. That it's like, I don't know, I gotta look online and see if there's something else supposed to come with the disc. Maybe something fell out. I don't think anybody would go in there and they'd take the poster, I guess they're gonna take something out of it, but I don't know if something was in it that could have fallen out that also came with it, or what. If you guys anybody has this, tell me what this comes with. It's not a big deal. I mean, the thing is, you go on Amazon, and you're like, tell us how we did. You did bad. Oh, and it's all automated. It's all an AI. It's like, well, how can we fix the situation? It's like, do you want to send it back? No, the album's fine. I played it, and it plays fine. The cover isn't terribly, I'm still in relatively good shape. I'm like, it's like, I don't want to go through the hassle of returning this. It's like, because I got to take it over to the UPS store, and it's a hike to get over to the UPS store. And they're like, oh, do you want us to ship out a new one and then send the old one back? It's like, no, because I don't want to have to send the old one back. It's fine. But, it's like eBay. Like, if you complain and say, hey, if this was on eBay and I complained to the person who sold it, they would probably, give me $5 back. Maybe even 10. Maybe they didn't even give you half my money off. Maybe they might even give you a full refund just for your inconvenience. I mean, some people are generous in that regard. Not Amazon. It's like, there's no way to barter with them. It's just like, hey, the problem is they're like, oh, they're going to keep coming back and buy stuff anyways. What does it matter? Why do we have to kiss this person's ass, to make them happy? We could care less. And obviously, they could care less. So, like I said, the album's fine. I did notice this too. I don't know if you can see it from, yeah, I guess you can see it there. The Casablanca thing, it's got the little Ace Frehley in the middle. I thought that was kind of cool. Like I said, I never had the disc. I only had the 8-track, so it's pretty cool. Like I say, pretty nice. I'll get into the music itself here in a minute. And again, I'm not going to play the album, so unfortunately, you guys are going to, if you want to listen to it, unless you own it, you're going to have to go on YouTube, or if you can find a better place, and listen to the really crappy version of it. And listen to that, because that's pretty much what's available for free online on YouTube. And maybe you can find a better one. Maybe there is a better one out there, but that's the only one I could find. I didn't really search that hard, but that's one I found. So, as I said, I love the album. Like I said, it was the first one I had. it was the only one I had, and I had it on 8-track, and it was one of those 8-tracks that I play in that little blue Sears, Sears 8-track player. Again, I haven't really gone into a deep dive on 8-track technology, but I'm just wondering how that works, how the channels work on it. I'll get into that a little bit, but first thing I want to touch on here before we get in the album is just a little more Kiss stuffy stuff here. I just wanted to show you, I found just a picture of, the Halloween costumes. That was the Halloween costume that I went out on in the Halloween of '79. So yeah, it was just this, like, all of those costumes were the same. And I would say, I know I was Batman. It's funny, it's in the Adventure Brothers. He's got the Batman costume, and he keeps putting his tongue through the slit. And he's like, I can't stop putting my tongue through the slit. It's maddening. He's right, it is. That's all I used to do as a kid, like, keep putting your tongue through the, it's like you couldn't help it. It was like, you were just like fixated on sticking your tongue through the little, no pun intended, the tongue on the mask. The Batman one was pretty apparent. I said I was a Batman. I was going to be a 3CPO, but then ended up being a Stormtrooper, and then I was this one. I think '79 might have been the last year I went out in a box costume, but that was the rage in the late '70s. All these box costumes. I think they're Don Post costumes or some name. I mentioned that before, but I forgot what they were. But those costumes were like, because they were so simple. It's just, you get a mask that you can just flip up when you get sweaty and you want to talk. You got this totally, flame, flammable plastic bag that you wore over, which was your costume. Which I love how it's like, so the Batman one was cool because it looked like Batman's chest. It had the symbol. And most of like the earlier ones were like Superman ones, the same, Spider-Man was the same. But then they just got really freaking lazy. And then they just started putting like, oh, what's Gene Simmons' chest going to be? Well, it's not going to be a hairy dude's chest, with nipples. It's like, no, we're just going to put a picture of Gene on there with hairy nipples. It's like, they did that with the Stormtrooper costume. It doesn't look like the front of a Stormtrooper. It's just a picture of the Stormtrooper. Hey, what are you supposed to be? I'm a Stormtrooper. I'm Gene Simmons. Oh, yeah, I see right there. Kiss, Gene Simmons. This is so weird. Talking about phoned in back then, but and that was, as soon as you saw these costumes at the shelves at Kmart or wherever, you were just like, it's Halloween time. And something about the smell of that plastic too. You'd smell that plastic. I can smell it right now, that plastic, and I could smell the masks, and it just takes me right back to that time and right back to Halloween. And then that and road flares, because we had the road flares, which all these road flares are everywhere, and these kids are all in these like plastic flammable costumes. I don't know how many kids actually went up in flames, but yeah, it was a time back then. So I just wanted to show you that. I also wanted to show you, so here's the original Kiss dolls. Not mine, just a picture I pulled off Google, but here's the original Kiss dolls. You can see Ace Frehley looks different in the face. Gene looks a little different. Now here are those, that's not a great picture, I thought it was bigger than that. Here are those Figure Toy Company figures. As you can tell, Ace's face, his hair is a little different. Gene's head's a little odd looking. They aren't perfect. The costumes are pretty darn close though. Let's see if we can put those side by side. I'm gonna put that back up. Yeah, the old Ace Frehley looks a lot better. Just the face looks better. It's more silver here. This is more like a gray, like a dull silver. But just the face looks better. The hair looks more girl, like Barbie doll here. So it's actually a little better here. I think this looks a lot better in the one I actually had. Just because this looks too combed. Peter Criss looks about the same. His hair's kind of wild there. It was kind of combed here. Gene's, that looks crazy. At least he has the top knot here. The face looks better on the old one. Well, it's just the neck just looks weird. I guess the neck looks weird on both of them. But the hair is just like, what's going on with the hair here? Yeah, it's supposed to have the top knot. Because he was the original hipster with his top knot. he's also doubled as a waiter at Sopapilla. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys that. I was looking for some more Kiss images, and I just came across those. And there was I think this was an ad in a magazine, either a magazine ad or I think this might even come. Well, it usually says Plaid Stallions. It's from Plaid Stallions, but here's just like a little promo. Looks like a catalog ad. Could even have been from one of the wish books of the figures. I'm not going to play the commercial. There's a commercial I can find on YouTube. It's pretty funny about that. Kiss! That's the name! Kiss! They look insane! I just love that commercial. It's hilarious. It's like, you can put them in all kinds of crazy poses. Okay, so here's the picture. So, yeah, back to my story here. So that's how it came. That's my door to my apartment. I live on the ground floor, the hobbit holes on the ground floor. That might even been a ground beetle. I get a lot of ground beetles. But that's how it came. Leaning up against this wall, opened. As you can see, it's opened there. Or maybe it's here. Maybe it's here you can see it opened. It's opened. It's just got the labels. It's like, what is going on here? It just leaned up against the wall. It's like, let's say I was out of town and that sat overnight. It's like, really? It's pretty crazy. It's the first time that's ever happened with Amazon. And it wasn't like a weekend delivery person. I could see, like today, that Opus Eponymous is supposed to be here today. Let's see what happens with that one. I'll tell you if I'm going to have an issue. I'll tell you what it looks like. I'll even pull up the photo like this one and I'll tell you. But yeah, I'm just curious. But the weekend delivery people are always a little funky anyway. So because they got to just find somebody to deliver on the weekends. It's usually not the main Amazon truck. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, as you can tell, like I said, as you can tell by my front stoop here and the quality of this apartment, that I do not live in a palatial palace. Therefore, I am not rich. I live pretty much in a hobbit hole. It's the garden. They call it garden level. It's really the basement level. It's like my window right there is right outside the window is the ground. So we're down about 4 feet into the ground here. That's hence why we get the ground beetles. And this goes down a little stair. To the left here is my stair to go up and go out into the courtyard. The other way is the parking lot. And yeah, it's not it's cheap apartment. It's cheap. Just to give you some figures, when I moved in here in 2013, it was $500 a month. That's including water. The only utility we got included was water, but it was $500 a month. I'm going on my 11th year, and I'm at like I think it's 615 or whatever dollars, 620. So in 10 years, almost 11 years, it's only gone up $100. So, it's cheap. You can't. I mean, Bay City is not an affluent town, believe me. It's not a small town. It's a good-sized city, but it's not. It's definitely not affluent, and I am not affluent. So, not that I'm trying to, do the whole, the woe is me type of thing. I'm just pointing out that some people, people get on the internet and they make judgments and they think things and stuff like that, right? I'm being as transparent as possible. Trust me. People think like, oh, he's got all that stuff. He's got to have lots of money. Oh, this guy's, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, you see how many subscribers I have. I'm not monetized. As you can see, I'm not living the YouTube high life like all the rich influencers. So just going to put that out there. But one thing I did notice, though, and I noticed this, and I'll show you, I won't play it. Well, okay, I guess I don't want to play it. It's kind of long, but I'll flip through it real quick. I found it was 20 minutes. That was that episode that was on TV. I got to stay up and watch. However, it was in 1979. So now I'm starting to piece that whole time period back together. Like I said, Kiss Meets Phantom of the Park came out in November of 78. I definitely saw Kiss Meets Phantom of the Park first. That was the first time I saw them moving, as it were. Or saw live footage. Not live, but I mean, moving pictures of the band. Like I said, I'm still pretty sure that I discovered that magazine right about that same time, and I'm pretty sure it was the official movie magazine. I'm almost positive. Yeah, and then the concert was in July, right around the time they had the Kiss birthday, and then in '79 I went out as Gene Simmons for the costume, and that's when that 20-minute segment popped up. I'd already gone to the concert, but I remember my parents let me stay up to watch the 20-minute segment. But in that 20-minute segment, I noticed it real quick, and it totally hit me. I totally forgot. I had this. Of course, it's a tiny picture. And I believe I got it right around that birthday. I think I got it for that birthday, the Kiss birthday. I forgot all about this. I remember my mom saying, "Hey, we found a record player for you, a Kiss record player," and which was not a bad thing. I mean, my mom has, she was weird with what she would buy or what she thought I wanted, but that's not really a bad. I mean, the box is kick ass, and there's the box to it. That's an awesome. I mean, that's that picture that I used on the, I used for my thing. I love that picture. You can get a poster of that too. It's a great picture. It's a great box. The thing looks cool. It's all white with. I thought it was kind of bold to make it all white like that with black or with red. I would have done all black with red. It kind of made it look more like the Kiss Alive 2 album. I thought that would be kind of cool. But the record player itself was total horseshit or dog shit or whatever you want to call it. Poop, feces. It was terrible. As you can tell, you had to push down. You had to push the 45 adapter. You had to push it down and turn it to put a 12-inch on there. When you put a 12-inch on there, I mean, it just fit, right? And it would, if it was and remember back in those days, those records were, they weren't really that heavy because they weren't using a lot of oil for it because of the oil crisis. So it would, if their disc was already warped and bowed on this tiny little platter that's a 6-inch platter or 7-inch platter, and then putting that other one on there, it would just be all over the place. I remember all kinds of stuff on this thing would skip, would just play. It sounded like horseshit too because the speaker was just utter crap, and I don't even think it had a right and left out of it, to put it into anything else. I mean, I know the Suitcase record players were big, especially back in like the 60s and stuff. But they're all crap, and it's, they're not, I mean, they're fine. It would be fine for playing 45s. You just keep throwing 45s on there. And like I said, we had a lot of 45s. And I think my sister had a Holly Hobby Suitcase turntable similar to this, but hers was more like this is like plastic Suitcase. That one was more like almost like paper, like hard cardboard with like little like clasps and stuff, little iodized metal clasps on it. She had the Holly Hobby record player. I don't think she really used it that much. Like I said, I even played like the Sean Cassidy albums or that stuff. I remember she'd come into my room to play that stuff. Because I had the other stereo in there. But, yeah, I remember I got this, and it was cool. I mean, I was excited to get it. I was like, oh, that's so neat. And it was just a neat thing, but I barely used it, just because it sounded like crap. I think most of the time I used it to play, like, those books on tape. Or not books on tape, but do you remember when they would come in, like, a book? It could have been a book on tape, but you get, like, that floppy, like, piece of plastic. It was a record. It was usually a square that had the record, etched into it, and it was like a piece of plastic. It was almost like a piece of paper, and you had I remember I had a couple of books or like comic books that were on those, and they would tell a story. I had a Star Trek one too that had like Star Trek comic like on the back of the cover, and then the book itself. And like if you got anytime you get like hey, there's a magazine would come with an album. It would come with one of those floppy ones, because of the paper. And I used to play those on there a lot, and those would just be all over the place. And I didn't care about skipping because, they were just throwaways, really. But, yeah. Sorry, I'm just doing a little more Kiss ketchup here. Kiss ketchup. I was talking to my friend the other night, and he was like, what does KISS stand for again? And of course, Night in Satan's Service, and he's like, was it? I said, keep it simple, stupid. And you're like, keep it Satan, stupid. Keep it simple, Satan. That's what it stands for. Keep it simple, Satan, or keep it Satan, stupid. But anyways, I'm going to get into the album. So let's get into Days Frehley. So there's the album. Of course, it's tiny. It's a bigger, better picture. But I just love these. These are really cool. I think these are in a magazine, like a poster book at some time. But I love these. These are just so cool. This is so 70s. Just these pictures, with like the glass chair. Like, what do we have to do a photo shoot that looks spacey? He is the space ace. So, and it's like, and then they do this, this blue lighting, they hit the fog machine. It's such a 70s photo shoot, but I love it. I love it. Like, I just love that look. I love that, like, where they take, like, weird stuff, like glass chairs and stuff, and all this weird, and like this, whatever this stupid console does that does nothing, this oscilloscope, and he's pointing at this thing like, right there, that's the galaxy you want to go to. I used to be like, right there, that's the galaxy I want to go to. That's how he talked. They all lose your head over you, pool. Very New York accents. And then he'd do that crazy laugh, like almost like Curly from Three Stooges. But yeah, but like I said, that was my favorite. That's still my favorite Ace costume. Is the one with the V, or the little back and forth thing there, and then the black bodysuit, and then the gauntlets, and then the boots. That's still my favorite Ace. But I don't know, I just like these pictures a lot. They just look cool. There he is. As you can see, the glass. Of course, it's tiny. You can see he's getting this like all silver suit too. It's like, oh wow, he's really going through this stuff. Yeah, it's this poster. I think it was a poster book, like a poster magazine. But I vaguely remember going over to. Remember I talked to that kid I went to school with, who also kind of liked KISS. When I met later on in the '90s, I remember. He had an aunt, I think, that lived on my street, or somebody lived on my street, or maybe a babysitter that was babysitting. Oh, it was that family. There's this family I had some weird stories about that have nothing to do with KISS, so I won't get into it. But so anyways, there was that family in there, and I remember they were babysitting him, and I knew he was over there, so I'd go over there and knock on the door, and he'd be in the basement playing. I remember him coming up out of the basement into like the backyard, and he came out, and he's like, oh, I just got this, and he had a poster book magazine, and he was pulling them all out, pulling all the posters out and showing them to me in the backyard there. It's like, oh, that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, I want that. I think I did end up getting a poster, not this one, but I did get a poster book. I remember they're on like motorcycles, and the one I had, but it also had that weird 70s kind of photo shoot area. It's like what else are they taking photographs in these studios? It just had it was very sus. It was very sussy baka. It was very, you thought to yourself, what other woman with non-existent clothes is bending over this chair, and some of the other shoots that they're doing. I just love this. It's weird. But here's the 8-track. This is the exact 8-track. This isn't the 8-track that I had again, but this is the 8-track. There it is. So we got it at, I think we got it at Camelot Records in that bin for like 50 cents or 80 cents. I don't think it was at Kresge's. I keep thinking it was there. Because I think my sister got an 8-track too out of that bin. I can't remember what she got either. Yeah, I don't know what 8-tracks would cost, like a couple of bucks back then, maybe $3, $2 for like a brand new one. I mean, this was brand new, but it was like, I don't know why they were selling like dirt cheap. They're on like clearance. And these came out in '78. I think we'll look at the Wikipedia for it. But again, here's the back with those 4 separate programs. I thought that was weird. But yeah, so I listened to this quite a lot, this album. So let's go over to there's the Wikipedia on the album. Before I do that real quick, I'm just going to skip through this. So I found this. You can look this up. It's the Kiss segment, 2020 band interview, concert footage, 1979. This is what I stayed up to watch for. I remember it vividly because I remember them sitting along here, along this wall. But this quality, this is about the quality that I saw it at on our 19-inch Zenith back then. And that's about as good as it came in. You know, and they had scenes from that. But then like the dressing room or whatever this was here, getting interviewed. This is right when the Dynasty album came out because it was the Dynasty tour for '79. This guy, this associate editor at Rolling Stone. Look at this. There's douchebags back in the '70s. You know this guy's a douchebag. Freaking Rolling Stone editors, associate editors at Rolling Stone, and of course he just shits on Kiss. He hates the band. He's like, oh, their song sucks, but their marketing's awesome. You know, they sell more toys than they do, and lunchboxes than they do albums. Oh god, this guy's such a dickhead. But yeah, I think they saw Gene Simmons breathe fire in this, and then some concert footage. There's the band manager. What's that, Bill? Whatever that guy's name is. Seen him before. You know, Peter Criss is talking. They had these dolls like in the background. They had a few of them. They're like unmasked. Like they didn't have their makeup on yet. That's what I remember as a kid. And if you couldn't see them, they're turned away from the camera. I remember my mom watching, going, "Oh, they're turning them away from the camera so you can't see who they really are. They don't have their makeup on." And there's a comment in here. Like, so I'm not gonna play it, but there's a comment here. It says, you know, Kiss concerts. You know, all the people dressing on the make real cream. It's like you know, there was a mad dash on cold cream. And it's just funny because she said that. That's what I used to use to take my makeup off as a kid. My mom would like, go in there and take the makeup. Go use the cold cream. Go take the cold cream and take it off. I understood cold cream. It was like battery acid or something. Like paint thinner for your face. Cold. And it worked. I mean, you put that cold cream on and it was cold. And it was a cream. And then, you know, and then you take a towel, like a wet washcloth, and whew, it'd just come right off. This was like a paint stripper. It's just funny that they mentioned the cold cream. I was just like, cold cream! A cold cream and Kiss makeup. Those are synonymous with me. Do they even make cold cream anymore? I'm sure they do. I mean, I obviously don't wear makeup anymore, but, you know, a lot of women obviously wear makeup. Do they make cold cream? Cold cream. It's like methylate is another thing. Get in here. Let's get some methylate on that scrape. No! Methylate was like battery acid. But yeah, let's go back to the album here. So yeah, so the Ace Frehley, I said September '78, so it dropped like right before the Kiss Meets Fan of the Park hit hit television there. So that tells you the time frame. And of course, you know, the hit song on it was New York Groove. Great song. That's some wicked ladies sitting by my side saying, "Where are we?" I love that line. And yeah, Will Lee and Anton Fig played. There's Will Lee there, and there's Anton Fig. He was the what do you call it? This is the drummer and the bass player from David Letterman's The World's Most Dangerous Band. They played on a lot of those albums. So did like G.E. Smith from like Saturday Night Live Band. They played on. I think they played on the Paul Stanley album. I can't remember, or maybe it was the Gene Simmons album. Well, whenever I get to those albums, we'll cover that. Yeah, I had so New York Groove was first recorded in 1975 by the glam rock Hello, and then rose to number 13 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Singles chart. So basically, he just covered a song that was already a hit. I think it was, and that became the hit off the album. There's the track listing. Let's go. Well, let's do it. I'll say I could do it through here. Like I said, I'm not going to play it, so I just like that screen looks better. But it's so white. And actually, yeah, there's the songs there. But the thing is, you can see how it's broken up by the side 1, side B. This one's not, which I guess doesn't really matter. I'll just use this. I just like this looks better. Rip It Out, first song on the track. I mean, it rips. The first song on the track is awesome. Rip It Out. It comes right out of the gate hard with Rip It Out. Rip It Out. I just taught myself. The other night I was listening to the crappy version. I ended up teaching myself Rip It Out. It's pretty simple. It's a 4-chord song. Pretty catchy. Speeding Back to My Baby. I just remember even as a kid, speeding back to my baby, and I don't mean maybe. This is the type of lyrics I would come up with, and I'm just being a doofus. I'm like in the kitchen washing dishes, and my friend or my son's out there saying something, and I'm just repeating what he says and turning it into a song. Hey, Dad, I was thinking about speeding back to my baby, and you don't mean maybe. It's just, that's what it reminds me of. It's not, I don't like that song that much. I would say it's probably one of the duds on the album. Snowblind's awesome though. And Snowblind, I didn't even know what it meant as a kid. Again, I'm so young and I'm listening to this music. What's snowblind? What's that mean? Does that mean that you can't see because it's so much snow and you're snowblind? No, it's because you're coked up beyond recognition. You've been doing so much blow. That's why you're snowblind. You're blind from being just high on coke. It's just like the Snowblind song from, is it Snowblind from Black Sabbath? Same thing. It's all about being high on coke. It's funny, if you were to take Rock and Roll Over, as they mentioned, the song's all about banging chicks, right? Most of the Ace Frehley album is like Ace Frehley. It's about getting drunk and stoned. That's pretty much what the whole album, and it just being so blitzed that you don't even know where you're at. Where are we? You got Wicked Lady, Wicked Lady sitting by your side. She's saying, where are we? Because she's blitzed too. Like, where are we? We're in New York. We're back in New York. Back in the New York groove. So anyways, I don't know, I was almost going to go, what do you call it, there for a minute. Michael Myers, I'm verklempt. But Ozone, pretty good song. What's on Your Mind's a good song. New York Groove, obviously, it's the big one off the album. I like it a lot. And again, I did not realize that New York Groove was playing during one of the fight scenes in the Kiss Meets Fan in the Park. And then a couple of the Gene songs were playing too. I didn't know, I don't remember that even in the 90s when I watched that movie again. And I think I even saw it in late 90s. I think my friend, we used to do these things called panic movies. It was essentially Mystery Science Theater 3000. It was more like riff tracks where you didn't have silhouettes of us. We would just watch a movie and we'd record our voices on it on the video cassette and dub it, and we'd just totally just rip on the movie the whole time. We call them panic videos, and we panicked the Phantom of the Park too. I remember that. I think I kept saying a lot of the same stuff I'm saying now. I was saying in that video too. I'm in Need of Your Love. That's a cool song. It's a very trippy, psychedelic kind of like song. And like I said, I was listening to it and I was high on my, Tylenol extra strength and my nose spray. So I was feeling a little wibbly myself. And listening to these albums through the headphones, I was just kind of like, And then I'm in need of your love. It's got like this cool trippy kind of very echoey, delay, guitar delays and stuff. It's just got that kind of not really disco-y, but more like in a cool rock kind of way. Wiped Out is funny. And instead of Wipeout, they're kind of making fun of it. It's a parody of the song Wipeout. Wipe out. They kind of do that, except for he's wiped out. Of course he is. High on coke, high on everything. Doesn't know where he's at. Wicked Lady sitting by his side. I can't get that out of my head. Sorry. Anyways, and then Fractured Mirror. Fractured Mirror is weird. I don't remember it per se as a kid, like playing it on the 8-track. Maybe I obviously had to play all of the songs to get it back to the first song, but I don't remember it totally. Sorry. It's an instrumental, and it's an acoustic instrumental, and it's real nice sounding. It sounds great, but it sounds like the intro, like an intro that never ends. It just kind of intros, and then you're waiting for him to kick in with maybe some electric guitar, or kick in with, I think there's like a solo on electric guitar, but lots of bends and triplets. But you're waiting for him to start singing and stuff, and it never happens, and it just kind of finishes it out. It's nice, pleasant sounding, clean, acoustic with drums and and bass. But I mean, it's an instrumental, and I still don't remember it being on the album when I was a kid. But I didn't remember. I think Ozone was another one I can barely remember as a kid. Or maybe it was the Speeding Back to My Baby, and I don't mean maybe. Overall, I think the album's great. I think it really rips. It rips it out. It's pretty good. It's rocky. It's Ace Frehley. I mean, if you listen to Frehley's Comet, when he did his Frehley's Comets albums, it's got a lot of that in it. It has a different feel of a Kiss song, but still kind of sounds like a Kiss song. Out of all the, like I said, out of all the 4 albums, even after finally listening to all the other 4 albums, I think it was at Solo Records on Woodward in like the 90s, and ended up finding the Paul Stanley and the Gene Simmons album and the Peter Criss album. I found them all on CD used at Solo Records. So I had listened to them in the 90s. I never listened to them until then. So I didn't know about like Great Expectations, or is it Great Expectations, or She's Radioactive, which is the Gene Simmons song, or He's a Man of 1,000 Faces, like all that stuff. I didn't know what that was as a kid, because I hadn't listened to the Gene Simmons solo album. I wanted all 4 albums, don't get me wrong. Just like the Dolls, I wanted all 4 Dolls, because it's a set, and when you go into wherever, I can't remember, Camelot Records or any of those other record stores back there. Full Moon wasn't until like the 80s Full Moon opened. I don't think Full Moon was around the late 70s. Most of the record buying, I would say almost all record buying for us back in those days in the 70s was Kmart, Sears, Kmart and Sears stores are going to boycott the album. Thinking of Spinal Tap with Fran Drescher when she talks about, smell the glove. So yeah, Kmart and Sears were big back then. I mean, and if they were to boycott an album, that was going to seriously put a dent in some record sales. Sears and Kmart, those were 2 big stores as a kid. That was like the family stores. Let's go to the mall and go to Sears. Because the mall, like Lakeside Mall, had just opened up in, I think, 1976. So it was a pretty brand new mall. It's funny, I've been watching some Dead Mall. I guess they're going to close Lakeside Mall. It's actually going to close. But it's just so eerie, And that was the mall. That was where we took the family trips. That's where we went to Sears. That's where we got, all that stuff. The Star Wars stories I'm telling you about. We went to Sears. That's the Sears. All of that stuff. Like I said, I was at Lakeside. I probably said this in one of the other videos, but I was at Lakeside Mall with my son last Christmas, and we popped in there because he wanted to stop at Hot Topic and get a couple of band t-shirts, because he was starting to get into that. And my sister had the rental car, and she dropped us off there. It was very similar to me being E-timed back when I was a kid, to get Citadel miniatures. But she dropped us off there, and we walked inside, and I was just like, I was blown away. I'm like, there's nothing here. This is insane. It's almost unrecognizable. And Kai's like, Kai had been to, my son, he had been to that mall, I think, twice before. Once when he was smaller, and once like a few years ago. We met my friend Steve there. I was walking, I was like, holy crap, this mall is super dead. That giant glass mirrored hanging thing from the ceiling in that one area, that was all completely ripped out. I think that had been gone for a while. But the other sculptures, I think, were still there by the anchor stores. Sears had the red crazy one. If you go on YouTube, look up Lakeside Mall, Sterling Heights, Michigan, and look up their the Dead Mall series. I think there's a couple of people that do them actually, and they go through and show you what that mall looks like today. But that was, when you see that was the mall. That was the stuff that was back then that we were walking around, and and there's that there they'll show the elevator, the fountain elevator. You run your hand across the water all the time, and then throw the pennies in. But yeah, like I said, there was a couple of record stores in the mall. I think there was Record Barn. I don't think there was a. No, there was a There was a Camelot in. No, is there? I'm thinking of another one. I think there's a Sam Goody back then in Lakeside Mall. This is when, like I said, Lakeside Mall was new. I just remember that candy store. But but yeah, most of our record buying was at Camelot Records. That was in Meadowbrook Mall. There was a record store, I think, besides that, there's another record store. It was in Winchester Mall. I won't get into that one, but there was an older one. But most of the time, if you're up at Winchester Mall and you're going to buy records, you just go into Kmart, because Kmart had a huge audio section. But Kmart, Sears, Camelot, it said Sam Goody, Record Barn, stuff like that you kind of go to sometimes. I don't think Full Moon Records was there yet. But, I'm not old enough to where I remember you could buy records at drugstores, although, I mean, Kresge's wasn't a drugstore, but it was right next to Cunningham's there. But they were, Kresge's was Kresge's. It was an offshoot of Kmart. But the Kresge's had a record section that had that one wall, just had a whole bunch of records all over it. So yeah, Kresge's was a place we'd go. Kmart, which is essentially the same store, as one smaller. Sears, Camelot. I'm trying to think, is there another record store? A place we used to buy records at? And when I say records, I obviously mean 8-tracks too. And this is before cassettes, so, yeah, I mean, talking about I know I didn't spend a lot of time on this particular album. I mean, you just listen to it. I just go on YouTube and listen to it. I'm happy. I think it's a great album. It's not overly complex. It's pretty straightforward and simple. It's very Ace Frehley. And it does have a lot of Kiss. It's an awesome looking cover. I mean, that's just, all those covers are just amazing. And that artwork is just, I mean, that was top notch. And that was so cool as a kid. And they couldn't have, if they had any other type of album covers for these solo albums back then, I don't think they would have been as popular. But these things are just so cool. If you got all 4 of them, if you got them up on display or whatever, I mean, that's just something to have. This is like the Kiss dolls. Those are something to have, Sure, you can get, I'm surprised they don't make Kiss hot toys, from those time periods, like the Love Gun dolls and stuff, and they're like, $300 a piece, and they look just like, they're photo, accurate. They look just like the people, like dead on, spot on. It's like, yeah, I'm not paying $1,000 or $1,200 for 4 Kiss dolls. I don't care if they look like, I don't care if they sing. I don't care if they're a real thing or animatronics. I mean, I guess that would be kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, the Kiss dolls that they have now that are pretty close to the original Kiss dolls, yeah, they look weird. Yeah, they're hokey. They're not, accurate. The clothes look a little off. The boots and the gloves look like doll clothing. I mean, but the thing is, when you got an imagination and you're a kid, even as an adult, I can look at that stuff now and I'd be like, it just takes me back. It's like, it doesn't have to be super 95 gazillion points of articulation, which they did have a lot of articulation in those. Remember, you could put them in crazy poses. But yeah, it's, I said that the Hot Toys thing, I'll probably have to, I can go on a rant all day on Hot Toys and how much, that stuff, it's cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're kick-ass looking. Like all the Star Wars ones, the Marvel ones, those Hot Toys dolls are freaking amazing. But I'm not paying that kind of money. And it just seems like they gradually are getting more and more expensive. It's like, I'm not rich. You've seen what my stoop looks like at my apartment. You see what my apartment looks like here. I'm not in any position to drop $1,200 on 4 dolls, Sure, I mean, these people online that are all toy collectors and they've got their YouTube channels and they're making the big bucks, yeah, or they're getting them sent free to them. Yeah, you guys are great. I mean, you guys are cool. You guys got all the cool stuff, but that ain't me. And I can't afford any of that stuff. So, you know, I mean, I'm just happy getting this stuff. And this 23 bucks. I'm just happy getting the album, you know. I'd be happy getting the Kiss doll, you know, the Ace Frehley doll for 50 bucks. You know, the new one. It's all I need, you know. Eventually, I'll probably, one of these days, I'll get those. Maybe after I do a big job, you know, big job comes in, pulls off, you know, after tax season or whatever, and I've got some extra money kicking around, which I hope happens soon. I probably won't buy them all at once, although it'd be the cheaper way because you pay less shipping. But I definitely, it's just like the albums, you know, I might just get them eventually, you know, all of them eventually. I'll probably get the Paul one last. Probably I'd get, next one I would get the Gene, and then I'd get Peter Criss, and then I'd get Paul. And that's probably the order I would get the dolls in, too. But, oh, I guess all the talking's, you can hear my voice kind of going again. So it's not completely out of me, but I do feel a lot better today. Other than that, I've got, like I said, Opus Eponymous, the Ghost album, should be here today between 3:30 and 6:30. Let's see if it comes. It'll probably come at 5 o'clock. It'll come at 5:00, like 5:10. So let's see if that album comes. You know, I'll throw the shirt, tomorrow's laundry day, I'll throw the shirt in the wash the shirt up so I can wear the shirt when I do the video. Yeah, and we'll do that. I'll do a listen to it tonight. I usually hang out with my friend online on Saturday nights, and we play some, or probably play some, remember Halo, the Xbox game? We bought that new Halo Master Chief Edition on Steam, and we've been doing some co-op. Just like, we played those games when they first came out back in the early 2000s, so now we're kind of just playing, just waxing nostalgic and re-going through the games again. So we usually do that in the evening, a couple of nights a week. So if I hang out with my buddy tonight, but I'm also going to listen to Opus Eponymous and do another hard listen to that. And I'll probably write down some more notes. This album, I mean, I was going to write down notes for the Ace Frehley album, but I mean, there's not really a lot to say to it. I mean, it's pretty, just listen to it, you know. It might not be your thing. You're definitely not, if you listen to it on YouTube, you're not going to get a great copy of it. So if you can find a good copy, or if you have the CD, you know, or even a cassette, even the 8-track would probably sound better if you had that in an 8-track player. But, all right. Like I said, this video probably dropped Tuesday. I did a police one yesterday. You've probably already seen that one. I got to do a Rush one eventually and do my Rush video. And then there's only a few bands left that I really want to cover in depth as far as my favorite bands. I'm going to extend my favorite bands up to my top 10 favorite bands, because I think if I counted up Rush, Yes, Blue Oyster Cult, Cheap Trick, The Police, we're already at 5, and then we got to add in Kiss. We got to add in, Ghost isn't. It probably will end up being one of my favorite bands, but they're getting pretty close. And then, what else is there? Tangerine Dream, another band I really love. What else is there? There's probably two more bands that are my. Oh, Asia, I love Asia, which is kind of yesy, but Asia is also one of my favorite bands. Dude, you have an Asia poster. Dude, you have a framed Asia poster. But anyways, yeah, so there's about 10 bands. And this is when let me close out on this. As I was thinking about this, I was trying to add it up. But let's just say hypothetically that all of my favorite bands have 10 studio albums, right? Because some bands only have 3 or 4 or 5. Some of them have 17, right? Let's just say 10 of my favorite bands have 10 studio albums, right? Or 10 albums. We can even include live albums too, but just say all 10 bands have 10 albums, right? Yeah, as you saw, I was trying to struggle to think of 2 more bands in my top, favorites. So let's take those. Hawkwind. There's another. Take 10 bands, times them by 10. You have 10 times 10. You got 100 albums. If I was to buy all 10 albums by all 10 favorite bands, I'd have 100 albums, right? Let's just add in a bunch of, other bands that only had a few albums, or maybe, I just wanted, like, Purple Rain, by Prince, or I wanted Michael Jackson's Thriller. I wanted some of these other standalone, very popular albums. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Actually, Pink Floyd's one of my bands, too, I like. But even if you were to push it and say there's 20 albums by 10 of my favorite bands, right? That's 200 albums. Again, that's all the amount of albums I'm ever going to own. I can't possibly think of wanting more than that. I mean, unless I'm just going to say, hey, I want every album, every top album from the 80s, Madonna, Fine Young Cannibals, I don't know why they popped in my head. If I picked every single album from the 80s that I liked, maybe you'd have another 200 albums, 100 albums. Now we're up to we're still not even to 500 albums. These people that have thousands of albums, it's mind-boggling. What do you have? It's you gotta be just literally buying everything. And maybe I'm weird. Maybe, hey, most people have more than 10 favorite bands. They like more than that. They've got more open mind. They're better, listener or music fan than you. You're too closed-minded and you're too... That, fine. But still, I don't know. It's just crazy to own that, man. Just housing them. I mean, I think it's the same with the action figures. These people with just these entire rooms of action figures. It's just there's not that much stuff out that I want. I mean, there's a lot out that I like, but I would literally have to be buying everything that I possibly see, everything that comes out. And again, where's this money coming from? I don't have it. I'm sure people do have money out there. That's obvious. But I don't know. It's not really a rant. It's not like I'm jealous or anything like that, because I don't really care at the end of the day. I get jealous, but not of stuff like that. I get jealous of other things. I think if a guy's got a hot girlfriend, I get jealous, but then I realize, well, I don't have to deal with her. So then I stop being jealous. I kind of get jealous sometimes in that regard. More so when I was younger. Now that you get old, at 50 years old, there's not really much you give a shit about anymore. You're like, you know what? 30 years at best left on the planet. Fuck, I don't care what the hell people have. I don't care what people think of me. That's why people make comments. They always make you get comments and stuff and things like that. It's just all right. Well, if you're trying to, I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying if you're trying to if you're trying to troll me or whatever, it ain't gonna work because I just don't give a shit. I literally don't give a shit anymore. So, I don't know why I went down that tangent, but anyways. So yeah, maybe it's the sickness. I don't know. Blame it on the sickness. But all right, let me pop myself back out here. I noticed I didn't turn the lights on in here. My blinds are shut, so all that light's just coming from the blinds shut. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, so I can see my stomach. I'm not wearing the battle vest. It's not really a battle vest. No patches on it, but I just kind of break up all of this, so it's not so out there, but guess I can't avoid it. Again, 50 years old. Do I care anymore? No. But yeah. So the Ace Frehley album. Let's close on that. I said I was going to close it. And my Kiss, right? How many farewell tours are we going to have here? How many closings am I going to have to this video? I'm just trying to kill a little bit. I wanted to hit an hour, and we're right about to hit an hour in about 35 seconds. So 45 seconds. So yeah, listen to the Ace Frehley solo album. And again, tell me what you think. I've gotten some comments been coming in, so keep the comments coming in. I should have plugged it in the beginning, but I guess I'm going to plug it now at the end. Remember, like and subscribe, do all that jazz. you know, and help me keep it growing. I got, it looks like I picked up another couple of people, and you know, that first Kiss video has definitely gone over over 1,000. Again, mind-boggling why that one and not the other ones, but whatever. We'll figure it out as we go. Alright, other than that, I will catch you guys later, and on the next video we'll do the Ghost album. Alright, talk to you then. Bye-bye.